You want to hear from an amazing dude, listen to our guest now. And you might have seen him on Discovery Shark Week. I mean, he's hosted a gazillion documentaries based off of sharks, but he's a former member of the elite Australian Defence Forces as an Army paratrooper, then a Navy bomb disposal diver. But his book, Shark, Why We Need to Save the World's Most Misunderstood Predator, which is out now, is kind of interesting because Paul de Gelder is a shark. Do I say attack victim? Do you want to be called a victim or no? Probably not.
Hell no. Survivor. Shark attack survivor, mate.
Survivor. I mean, you're like, I see you now and you're jacked. Like, I just see your top shoulders and you're this dude tatted up, but you're missing what, your right leg and your left arm, half your left arm. Yeah.
Right hand and right leg. Yeah, the shark took my whole hand and it took my hamstring almost surgically. So I ended up having to lose the rest of the leg because I couldn't feel it and I couldn't move it. Fortunately, it happened at work, so the military pays for all my prosthetics, and I've got a robot hand. I've got a $200,000 robot leg. I've got two of those. I got two snowboarding legs. I got running blade. I got diving legs. I got weightlifting arms. So my luggage gets pretty heavy when I travel.
Do you think you would have the same feeling towards sharks, which is a very passive feeling, if you could not afford all of these things? Like if you're a shark attack survivor and it's coming out of your own pocket and you want to do these things, but the insurance is not picking up the tab, you'd probably be pretty pissed off with the shark, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can't live your life pissed off. You got to make the most of what you got. And there's funds that can be started to help support people that need prosthetics. And, you know, not all the limbs are that expensive. It's just that the military is picking up the bill. So obviously I'm going to get the best ones there are in the world. And a lot of people do just fine without the same prosthetics as me. It's all about using the tools at your disposal the best way possible. So, yeah, I'm very fortunate. I don't disagree with that, but I'm not going to let something like that affect my life and my happiness when that is my choice and I've got a life to live. So how do you want to live it?
Yeah. That's a great attitude to have.
I know. I wish I could have some Paul de Gelder juice. You know, like, you should do a cologne or something and not spray it on me.
Man stank.
Be positive with Paul.
Yeah.
How much of the attack do you remember?
Oh, all of it. I do a lot of public speaking on stage for corporate events and stuff like that. So over the years, I've had to tell the story so many times. It was funny because the more you talk about it, the more you remember the little things. And then obviously it was huge news in Australia, the first shark attack in Sydney Harbour in about 50 years. And so the media wanted to do stories, 60 minutes, or like every radio show and TV show in Australia wanted to do the story. And so I went back to my buddies, my teammates that were there that helped me with the first aid and kept me alive. And so we went through the stories together over a few beers and I picked up all little bits of it and put it together. And so I remember everything from my perspective because I only passed out for a few seconds. I figured if I closed my eyes and couldn't see, then I was going to die. So as long as I could see my mate Tomo, as long as I could hear his voice, then I was still alive.
What year did this happen?
It was February 2009.
Did the shark ambush you?
Yeah. I was doing a counter-terrorism training exercise in Sydney Harbour, and I had my three teammates in the safety boat a couple of 100 yards away, but I was the only one in the water, and I was swimming on my back on the surface in a black wetsuit and a pair of fins, and it came up from underneath me and grabbed me by the hamstring and the hand in the same bite. So no one saw it. You can't see through the water there either. So as soon as it took me underwater, tore me apart, and then thrashed its tail and swam away, you couldn't see it again. You're never going to be able to see through that water.
And so do you even know what type of shark it was?
The scientists measured the shape of the teeth marks in my leg, the size of them, the gaps in them, the size of the bite in the wetsuit, and they surmised that it was a bull shark. And we know that there's bull sharks in the harbour. They've just never bothered anyone before. But some people thought, it might have been a great white because it came up from underneath me. And there was actually a great white attack at Bondi Beach the next day where a guy had his hand taken off by a great white. So I got to go with the scientists. They know their business, so bull shark. But I'd never even seen a shark, so I didn't even know what it was. I just saw this massive grey head attached to me and then freaked out.
So what did
Kind of like when you run through a spider web and you're like, get it off me.
So what did you do anything to get it off, or did it just let go?
No, I tried to get it off. I went for the eyeball, but it had my hand, and so that rendered that arm useless. So I tried with my left hand, but it had me by the back of the leg, and so I couldn't reach the eye. So I grabbed it by the nose and I tried to push it off me, but all that did was push the teeth of the lower jaw deeper into my leg. And so, what's the next step here? Eyes, gills, punch it in the nose, right? That's what you always hear. So I went to punch it in the nose, but that was when it started to shake me. And it didn't so much, it didn't let me go. Its teeth met in the middle of my thigh and ripped out my hamstring. And so while I guess it was swallowing my limbs, I started swimming back to my safety boat through a pool of my own blood.
This might be the dumbest question you've ever been asked, but
I've asked a lot.
Did it hurt at the time of the attack?
No, actually, it's not dumb. I get that question quite a lot. And I did think it was dumb in the early days. And I was like, yeah, just go and roll up your trouser leg and go and pick that coffee table as hard as you possibly can with your shin bone, and then times it by 1,000,000. But then I realized, adrenaline kicks in, and you might not feel it because of the panic in the moment. But yes, it really, really hurt. I didn't feel the teeth go in because they're so incredibly sharp. I just felt the pressure. And then when I tried to pull my arm out and I saw the teeth tearing the flesh of my wrist, that hurt a little bit more, but it was more adrenaline stopping that. And then it wasn't actually until it started shaking me and the teeth were like, double-sided sores on either side of my leg, and the pain was so incredible. It took absolutely every ounce of fight out of me, and I was just accepted the fact I was going to die.
And again, Paul's book, Shark, Why We Need to Save the World's Most Misunderstood Predator, you can hear Paul's not mad at the shark and doesn't want to go to the water and, dynamite every shark out there or any sharks at all. It's funny, as human beings, if there were a guy at the local pub that were to beat you up and take your arm, the week after you get out of the hospital, you're probably going down to the pub to find that guy and beat the shit out of him. But yet the shark did the exact same thing, and you're like, save the sharks. Isn't it weird how people react to these types of attacks? But if it was a human being, it would be different.
Yeah, well, human beings do it. They're intentionally malicious. He did it because he wanted to do it. A shark just did it because it's a shark. It's just a shark doing sharky shit in the ocean. So I can't get mad at this animal for being what it is when I chose to put myself in his environment. And I chose a dangerous life. I was Army airborne before I was in the Navy. So I'm jumping out of aircraft in the middle of the night with machine guns and grenades and rocket launchers attached to me. And then in the Navy, I'm diving on mixed gas rebreathers on hundreds and thousands of pounds of bombs and explosives, jumping out of helicopters, all manner of craziness. And so I rode an Italian sports bike. I got more chance of dying on that thing than anything else. And yet, at least this way, I got a cool story. I get to travel the world working on Shark Week. I get to work with incredible people like Will Smith and Ronda Rousey and Mike Tyson. So, out of the worst thing that's ever happened to me has come the best life imaginable. So I kind of feel I need to buy it a present. Have another hamstring.
Have another hamstring. So you said you'd mentioned that you were in a black wetsuit, and I thought that was interesting because a lot of the sharks are attacking humans because they think that they're sea lions, right? Which is part of their food chain. And there was a shark attack not that long ago in Mexico where a mollusk diver was decapitated. I mean, the way the story reads, it's horrible. He was decapitated. His shoulders were shredded from a 19-foot great white shark. And the people in that area said, hey, look, there's a great white shark in the area. Hey, probably not a good idea to go out right now. If you do, make sure you wear stripes on your wetsuit so it knows that you're not a sea lion. Is that a thing?
Look, I'm no scientist in the realm of shark eyesight. From what I understand, they don't see colors. Some scientists are saying that they can see colors. So this is a point of contention, and so I had one of those wetsuits. That company that created them gave me one of their radiator wetsuits. It wasn't the black and white stripe one. It was more like it makes you look a bit like sea. It was blue and white. And I was with one of the guys I co-host shows with, Andy Casagrande, one of the world's foremost shark cinematographers. And I put that wetsuit on, and he looked at me and said, "Don't wear that." And I was like, "Why? It's supposed to make me not look like food." And he said, "What color's fish flesh?" And we were diving with tiger sharks. He's like, "What color's fish flesh?" I was like, "White." He's like, "What color's most of that wetsuit?" White. He's like, exactly. It's like, don't wear white around sharks because you look like food. It's like you don't wear earrings and you don't wear necklaces. You don't wear anything shiny because then you look like, fish that they're going to chase and bite. And so I'm not a scientist. Like, this book that I wrote is not a science book. It's a book about my passion about sharks, why we need to save them. There is a little bit of science in there, but I'm not going to take the expert title away from the real experts, the scientists that study them. What I have got is a lot of experience in the ocean with them, and I've learned from some of the best in the world. But I would definitely not base your whole life on the color of your wetsuit. Being a scalloping diver, a mollusk diver, or a spearfisher, you're putting yourself in the circle of life there. You really are taking your life into your own hands because you're digging up the coral reefs, you're making noises and vibrations that are going to attract the sharks. That's why a lot of the time in Australia, they will do it from a cage. Like, you'll just have a little one-man portable cage, you swim in that, and those guys see great whites all the time, but you've got the cage to protect you. So, if your life's important to you and you're going to go out there and work in a realm where there's great whites, especially like Mexico or Australia, then you need to, make some wise decisions and protect yourself.
Yeah. So if they can't see, then the idea of blood attracting the shark, I was told, we went shark diving in, like with thresher sharks or something in the Bahamas. And the dude said, the red thing is just bullshit. It's the oils. Our blood is different than fish blood. So when you use chum, it's the oils in that blood versus the color.
Absolutely. Yeah, we did an experiment for Shark Week on this where we were in the Bahamas and we drained a half a liter of my blood out of my arm on the back of the boat into a bag, and then I jumped off the back surrounded by bull sharks, nurse sharks, lemon sharks, tiger sharks, and I ripped open the bag of my own blood, just something like a pair of fins, a mask, and a pair of shorts, and the sharks did nothing. And then my buddy threw a bucket of fish blood off the back of the boat, and I had to swim through that. And that was when it got dangerous. So, yeah, it's not the color, it's the pH levels, the fat content in the blood. It's kind of like if you got a pile of pancakes in front of you and you pour syrup on one and then diarrhea on the other. They know what their food is. It's different with great whites, because great whites do eat marine mammals. And so, we're much more similar to seals and sea lions than we are to fish. So that's where it might differ. I haven't done the experiment with great whites, but I'd love to do that.
So you're swimming through the blood with the sharks in the water and stuff. This is after the shark attack. I mean, you're doing this with one arm and one leg, correct?
Dude, I do way crazier stuff these days. Yeah, so the shark attack was 2009. I started doing Shark Week 2013. I've done over 20 shows. I've dived with great whites at 110 feet. With no cage, surrounded by 14-foot male great whites. My buddy Andy is with me once again, and he's got his big red digital camera he uses to push them away. I got a GoPro on a stick.
Wow.
But, I parachuted into the Pacific Ocean with another guy for 2 days, 2 nights, no food, no water, surrounded by sharks. Hand taught Ronda Rousey how to hand feed bull sharks, surrounded by 30 bull sharks. And, they try and kill me every year, I'm pretty sure. It's like, how close can we get Paul to death without killing him? And so, I got a show coming up in 3 weeks. I got to go to the Bahamas, and they want to see if I can use my Jedi shark skills like a shark has to detect if a shark is going to attack me by blindfolding me around tiger sharks.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Is this more than just a love of sharks? Like, is there something else going on with you, Paul, that like your upbringing, or I mean, is there like, do you have a death wish or what?
Dude, I just believe in living. And having come so close to death in the most violent, terrifying, and horrific of ways, I discovered that death isn't actually scary. But having those moments before death where you're left alone with your thoughts, and the only thing that you have to think about is, am I ready to die? And if you've got regrets, missed opportunities, things that you dreamed about that you never fulfilled, or hate in your heart, or whatever it is, you're not going to be ready to die. I was ready to die because I had no regrets. I grew up getting bullied at school. I was a self-harmer, depressed. I got kicked out at home. I flunked high school. I was doing drugs and abusing alcohol and fighting in the streets, to becoming a soldier, serving my country, wearing my uniform, deploying as a peacekeeper with the UN, and then becoming part of the elite branch of the Navy, something that very few people can actually achieve, and having this incredible job. You know, I'd lived 10 lives in those 31 years. And so I figured I'd achieved more than I even deserved, and I was ready to go. And so now it's like, all I want to do is feel that same way when I die. Like, I have lived, I have no regrets. And so, yeah, I just believe life is a series of stories and adventures, and that's how I'm going to continue to live.
See, what I just heard Paul say is that if you have regrets or hate in your heart, you're not ready to die, meaning that you're not going to die. So I'm going to, for the longest...
you could literally just go jump off a building then.
I'm not ready because I've got all that stuff in my heart. So I want to continue to have all those things. And I want to live to be the oldest person ever, according to Paul. Are you married now?
Just got engaged.
Congratulations. So
thank you.
And she's beautiful too.
Oh yeah, she's incredible.
Yeah.
Life's going to change a little bit. This kind of, attitude. Probably your soon to be wife is. What are you doing? I don't know about all this, right?
She knew what she was getting into. The only thing I've really had to sacrifice is the fact that I can't ride a motorbike anymore. I was having my bike that's been modified for me to ride shipped out from Australia, but one of my Aussie buddies who lives out here crashed his bike recently and died. And so that was the only sort of thing that I've had to give up. Like, I'm not going to do that. It's not worth it. Especially, I live in LA. I don't know if you guys have been to LA or live in LA or whatever, but people drive out here like it's their own personal go-kart racetrack. And so it's not even worth having a motorcycle out here, because some idiot that doesn't indicate, doesn't look, they're on their phone, they'll kill you and you have no control over that. At least in the ocean, with parachuting, with snowboarding, with sharks, I have some semblance of control and knowledge.
Yeah, I subscribe to that theory too. That's why I'm not a big fan of flying. Because it's like, I always say I don't want to die stupid, and you no offense to you, you parachute it and all that stuff because you did it for the military, but
I still do it.
Okay, but
I've got my own parachute in the closet.
Like I just chalk me up as a pansy, because like the plane stuff bothers me. I'm like, that's going to piss me off. This guy doesn't feel like flying today, or he's drunk, and I'm going to suffer for it. This is stupid. That's just what a story, Nikki D. What a story. You got a question for Paul? I know you do.
I actually have lots of questions. How do you be attacked by a shark, go through all the things that you've gone through, and then every time you get in the water, the thought never crosses your mind? Like, you never think, what if I'm attacked again?
I do, and that's why I guess I'm good at what I do, is because I know the repercussions of not doing it properly and not doing it safely. And when you're taking people like Will Smith and Ronda Rousey doing it, that's what scares me, because I don't have complete control over what they're doing, and if they get bitten and injured, then that's my fault. And so that's what scares me more than me doing it. I know what I'm doing. I get nervous, yeah, but it's it's a nervous excitement, because every time I get in there, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what amazing thing I'm going to see or what incredible interaction I'm going to have with these animals. Like, you look at the cover of the book and it's me on, I've got another book called Uncaged, and the front cover of that is me in the Bahamas on my knees with my hand out on the nose of a 12-foot tiger shark. And I literally looking in this shark's eye, it's looking at me. We're coexisting in this incredible environment where it's like going to space. You know, you've got your breathing apparatus on. We're in an environment where it's not our natural home. And yet this apex predator will let me share its space with it, as long as I treat it with respect. That is amazing. You know, I don't know of any other wild animal that would allow you to do that. You can't go up and put your hand on the nose of a bear, a tiger, a wolf, mountain lion, nothing, like, because it'll rip your hand off. But a shark will let you. Even the big scary ones that they talk about, a great white, it can be done. Tiger sharks, absolutely. Bull sharks, not the biggest fan of bull sharks anymore. But
well, wonder why
they get too close. If I'm not in Fiji where we do hand feed them, and I'm somewhere else, like I stay away from the bull sharks. But they will let you share that environment, and that makes them truly special.
What if Shark Week comes to you, Paul, and says, "Look, we're gonna book another celebrity for this shark swim thing, but this time we want this celebrity to get bit. Which one would you like to take with you?"
Oh, Biden. I mean, what?
Okay, so Biden, you're taking.
I would not wish that. I would not wish that on another human being. It's horrible and terrible. Yeah, but yeah, it's no one.
Oh, like, man,
but you know why? I don't want the Sharks to get the bad PR. They're a terrible PR client as it is. You know, I'm standing up for them. I'm like, boys, I'm writing a book for you. I'm going to do this show. I'm doing some interviews. And they're like, oh, cool, Paul. Now I'm going to go bite someone's head off. Like, no. Throw me a line.
I don't think you could have a boat big enough for the people I'd take with me.
Who would you take with you?
Oh, we don't have enough time. Paul's got stuff to do. Nate, question for Paul, please.
Yeah, Paul, what kind of rehabilitation did you have to go to? I assume, like, learning how to walk again, or what was the biggest hurdle to get over and getting back to a normalcy?
Well, it's funny because I had to do it all myself, because it's not like America where we have, you guys have Walter Reed, you've got all these military rehab hospitals. We didn't have any of that. And so I basically just went home, and after 9 weeks in hospital, and I started training before I could even get out of my bed. Because I had this big impossible dream of keeping my career and continuing to be a clearance diver. And so 2 days after I had my leg chopped off, I started doing one-arm chin-ups in the bar above my bed. We tied the elastic bands to the bars around the bed so I could sort of work out, get the blood moving, sort of feel like I'm achieving something before I could even stand up. Just like, I didn't want to be a victim. I didn't want to lay there overthinking the situation. I wanted to start taking positive action, so maybe I can keep this career that I love so much. And so there was an old mantra I learned in the Army, which was improvise, adapt, and overcome. And so my buddy would drive me down to the Army base, to the gym every day, and I'd have to go in there and I'd have to learn to use my body again with one hand and one leg before I got my prosthetics. And so that improvise, adapt, and overcome came in really handy. I would find tools on the internet that I could use, like deadlifting straps with hooks that, I could put the strap around my forearm and the hook would hang down, and I could put a dumbbell in that, and I could do curls, because obviously curls get the girls. And so, you got to work those pipes. And then, you don't have 2 legs for squats. Does that mean you skip leg day?
No.
You never skip leg day.
Never skip leg day.
I had to learn how to do one-legged pistol squats and use the Smith machines for squat. So just because there's a hurdle or a speed bump, there's nothing in this life that we're going to encounter that someone else hasn't already been through. And we have the wealth of the world's knowledge within a few keystrokes on the internet. So there's no excuses. Like, you just get onto the internet. I started watching videos of Paralympians and dudes climbing mountains on their hands because they got no legs. And the more I looked into it, the more I realized that if these people can do it, there's no reason that I can't do it. So I used all of their lessons and videos as motivation and inspiration. And hopefully now I get to do that for people as well.
God, what does a bad day look like for you? I mean, it just seems like every day is awesome.
Some roses.
It's the days where I have to get up at 6 o'clock and do 4 hours interviews.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
I was supposed to be at the gym 3 hours ago, mate.
Oh,
I train at Gold's down at Venice at the Mecca, and so like it's pretty cool. Like I'm a small town Australian kid, and the Terminator says hello to me in the morning, which is rad.
Really?
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger's down there. I met Van Damme. I had a 10-minute conversation with Van Damme, and I realized why he only has like 1-sentence monologues. It's because once he gets on a roll, you can't understand what the hell that dude's saying. I was just like, just don't interrupt him because he'll kick you 10 times in the face. And I'm just like, yep. I got no idea what this dude's saying.
Has the WWE ever reached out to you?
No. Ronda's a really good friend of mine. Met Roman Reigns and a couple other people, but I'm not that. I'm athletic, but I'm not that limber anymore. I used to be able to do backflips and forward flips, but I'm a little slower, a little more awkward these days. That's why I like being in the ocean, because then you're weightless.
Yeah, but you're such a positive guy. You're a good-looking guy. You're in shape, and you have such a great message. Is that they could use you on a storyline, I mean, yeah, of course you have you're missing the limbs and stuff, but you're just positive in general, and you're jacked. I mean, you're bigger than some of the wrestlers. So
I don't know about that, mate. Like that'd be cool. I would definitely do it, McMahon. Just give me a holler. I'm just waiting for Spielberg to come call me, or whoever's directing the new James Bond film, so I could be the villain.
Oh yeah, what would your name be?
Oh, I don't know. There's already been a Dr. Hook, hasn't there? Because my weightlifting arm has a big steel hook on it. Yeah. I don't know. I've hit the prosthetic companies up. I'm like, come on, like I've got this $90,000 black badass robot hand. Can't we like put some Wolverine claws in it, or a flamethrower, like a grappling hook? Just like, let's do something with this. But yeah, none of them are brave enough.
What were you ever a fan of He-Man?
Dude, I had Castle Grayskull and Hordak in the Fright Zone, and Panther, and Battle Cat, and Ram Man, and Mossman. I had them all, bro.
Okay, so what was the guy that you could swap out his the gimmicks on his head?
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but I had him as well.
Yeah, he was badass, dude. I mean, that was my favorite dude. Yeah. Brandon, quickly, question for Paul before we let him go.
So you go all over the world and check out sharks and stuff. Is there like certain areas of the world where the sharks are more aggressive or more friendly or more attacks happen?
Yeah, all of those three things are different things. But so I find I haven't been to New Zealand to work with the great whites down there, but from what I understand from my friends, they're a little crankier down in New Zealand. It might be the cold water that's making them cranky because they're so close to Antarctica. I don't know, but they seem pretty upset down there. Mexico, Guadalupe Island, obviously, we were just talking about some guy just got his head taken off. So they're really big down there, and so they can basically take on anything. So they can be quite dangerous as well. We used to get out of the cage occasionally there, and the Mexico government has just basically shut down that whole area to tourism, which is really sad. But bull sharks, even when you can see them around the Bahamas, you're always like, I'm watching you, buddy. But because they like to swim in the murky water in the rivers and the harbors where you can't see very well, like they're the ones that freak me out the most. Because tiger sharks, they're usually in clear water. Surfers have the most to worry about them because they look like a turtle or something floating on the surface with a silhouette, because that's all they really see. They look up, the sun's behind you, they see a black silhouette. You look like a dead seal body or the shape of a turtle, so they're going to come up and investigate you. And tiger sharks, they've been found with a full suit of armor in their stomach.
Wow.
Yeah, they've been found with like a chicken coop with the chicken still in it inside. These sharks were eating literally anything, and you got to watch out for those guys as well. But dude, it's a wild place, it's a wild environment. But the funny thing is, you got more chance of drowning, you got more chance of dying in a car accident driving to the beach than you do of getting killed by a shark.
So Nate, with the yellow T-shirt, he lives in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. Does he have anything to worry about if he wants to go swimming?
I haven't been there. I've had a couple of friends that used to work there as dive instructors, and I hear it's phenomenal. I don't know about the shark populations there, but it would be easy to find out. You just pull out your smartphone, do a little Googling, and it'll tell you instantly.
Or better yet, just go swimming, Nate, and tell us how
Just
it
go
goes.
swimming with some tuna steaks tied around your waist and let us know how it works out.
Yeah, just say, Paul, Paul said this is how you try it. This is how you do it. Get some friends and go out there. That's all you do.
That's all.
Yeah, I'll throw on my white wetsuit.
Go on your period.
Shark, Why We Need to Save the World's Most Misunderstood Predator. It is out now on Amazon, wherever you buy books. Paul Gelder is just an amazing, amazing human being. And I appreciate all the time, man. You're just such a cool dude. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, team. Really enjoyed it.
All right, take care, Paul. Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.